What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we are going to be doing a bit of a beginner's guide for Call of Duty Warzone, covering the contracts in the game, what they do, and when is the best time to do each of them. Obviously, if you've played the game for a decent amount of hours, you're probably going to know what each of these contracts do, but a lot of people do tend to do the wrong contracts at the wrong times, which can actually be very detrimental, and there are certain ways that you should do each contract as well. So I thought I'd just do a quick little guide for those of you who are just starting to get into the game. So starting off with these scavenger contracts, which are probably one of the more important contracts in the game, these require you to go off and find 3 chests in a specific order, which are obviously marked on the map after you have picked the contract up. Generally speaking, the scavenger, or scav as most people will call it, is the easiest contract to do, but it also gives you probably the best bang for your buck, as you'll earn 2,000 for each player in your team, assuming that it is your first contract. Plus, the chests generally have a ton of cash in them too, so pretty much unless you're playing solos, you're almost guaranteed to get 10,000 by the end of the scav, and then you will be able to buy yourself a loadout. Now, speaking of that $2,000 for the contract, before I go any further, I should mention that each contract you complete will then add 40% to the next contract that you do, and that just compounds over and over again. So the more contracts you do, the more money you earn per contract. So anyway, when it comes to the scavs, these are the most important contracts early on in the round, as obviously you can get a loadout right after you finish one, or you can just wait for the free loadout and buy some UAVs or whatever instead. But either way, just setting yourself up early with a lot of money is super helpful, and so I definitely recommend trying for a scav as early as you can. Just be aware that there will be other enemies going for the scavs too. There's not that many on the map that each team can get one, so generally speaking, if you go for one from the drop, there'll likely be at least 1 or 2 teams headed there too, so just be wary of that. Like I said, these are definitely the best contracts to do early on, but you can do them throughout the round too if there's no other contracts nearby. Moving on, we then have the newest addition, which is the supply run. Now, these ones are really simple. Once you pick them up, a buy station will be marked on the map, usually around 400 to 500 meters away from where you started the contract, and you'll have around 2 minutes to get to that buy station before it runs out. Once you do get there in time though, the contract is completed and you'll earn money for doing it, but you also get one cheaper purchase at that buy station, marking 80% off every item and making self-revives and teammate buybacks absolutely free. But like I said, you only get one purchase. These are great for a few different reasons. One reason might be that maybe you're playing quads and 2 of your mates are dead, so if you and your teammate that's still alive go and get one of these supply runs, you can actually both get a free buyback for your friends, saving you $9,000, as well as obviously paying you for that as well, which you can then spend afterwards anyway on armor or a loadout or something like that. Now, let's say all 4 of you die and 2 of you die in the gulag, but then 2 of you make it back. A really good tip is to get one teammate to drop and grab the contract, while the other teammate hangs in the air. Once the contract is started, the teammate who's still floating can then just simply drop straight on the buy station, buy back his teammate, and then that teammate can drop on the buy station as well and get the other teammate back, saving the guy who got the contract initially from having to drive about 500 meters without a trophy or a weapon. And everyone can still get bought back all the same. Another great time to use it is just when everyone is still alive. Maybe you've got your loadout and all you need now is a self-res, but you just don't all have enough, so you can just do one of these contracts and get a free self-res for all 4 of you, plus then earning enough money to get some kill streaks as well. I should mention there's obviously the timer for the contract, and if you miss out you don't get the cheaper purchases, but once one single teammate makes it, that buy station will stay cheap permanently for the rest of the game until you do make the purchase, so you don't have to rush to use it. Only one person needs to get there before the contract runs out, and once it's been made cheap, it stays cheap until you all use it once. Now, next up we have the most wanted contract, and this one is super basic, so I'm not going to touch on it too much. Now, these contracts put a bounty on your head, meaning every single person on the map can see you permanently for 3 minutes while it's active. Not only on the map, but they can actually ping you on the map, and it will show your live location in the regular gameplay as well. Now, the reward for these is that you will get a heap of money, with the base payment being, I think, 3,600. And any teammate who's in the gulag, dead, or even just downed will instantly return to the game for free as well. So you can see this one is very much high risk, high reward. Now, in my opinion, there are 2 ways to do these effectively. You can either grab the contract and camp in an area where there's maybe only one way in, or you can grab a chopper or a car and pretty much just stay on the move until the timer runs out. Camping can be effective if you're in an area where it's pretty much impossible for the enemy to get to you. For example, the airport tower that only has one way up and enemies can only come one at a time. But the downside is that people know you're camping and they will have plenty of time to plan an attack. So as foolproof as your spot might seem, it can be pretty hard to stop 4 enemies running in all at the same time. As for constantly moving, I personally think this is your best option, getting up in a chopper or just in a car with a trophy system, and pretty much just staying way out in the open somewhere, doing laps of a field or somewhere where you're hard to kill and have time to make a quick getaway if someone does push you. Most wanted contracts are definitely great at any point in the game when you just need to get a few teammates back into the game, but if you're in the top 20 or so, then just be careful with them because you're going to be a much bigger target that late in the game. Next up we have the recon contract, and these are another sort of high risk high reward type of contract. When you pick up a recon, it will take you to a location on the map that you need to secure, and once you do, you'll be able to see the next circle on the map, giving you a good idea of where you need to go next. Now, the only issue is that while you're capturing the recon, it shoots a huge yellow flare up into the sky, showing anyone in the area pretty much exactly where you are, and since you're kind of a sitting duck, if there are any teams nearby, you can quickly get yourself into a lot of trouble. These are really great for doing earlier on in the game, and if you can do say 5 or 6 of them, then you'll actually know exactly where the last circle is going to be, allowing you to set up early on and get in the best position for a win. But as for later in the game, I would not recommend doing them as they just give away your location and you can usually tell roughly where the circle is going to be anyway. Now, last but definitely not least, we have the bounty contract, and these might be the best contracts in the game when you're trying to increase your kills as well as just earning more money. Bounties will mark enemy teams on the map, showing you roughly where they are so that you can push over and find them much easier than normal. The closer you get, the smaller the area gets, giving you a better idea of their exact location, but just be wary of the fact that the enemies will be warned as you get closer too, so they will know you're coming and they can try and set up in preparation. Like I said, I think these are the best contracts to do. Once you've got your loadout and are set up early in the game, it's honestly just best to do as many of these as you can if you want to try and increase your kills, as well as just taking more enemies out of the game, getting all of their loot plus earning a good amount of money at the same time too. So these are definitely the best ones to do mid-game. If you and your team can be coordinated enough to push bounties really effectively, then these can honestly set you up for an almost certain win due to the amount of loot and money that you will earn, as well as the fact that you're obviously wiping out teams as you do and reducing the amount of players in the game. But that is going to do it for this one, guys. Like I said, it was a bit more of a beginner's guide, so if you've been playing a while, then this was probably going to be old news for you, but hopefully it was able to help some of you newer guys out, as I know there's still a heap of newer players coming to the game each and every day. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like down below, and if you are new, then consider subscribing to the channel with those notifications on. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.